This is what to do if you're skinny fat, because it's so unclear as to what you should do with your diet. Should you bulk and eat more food, or should you cut and eat less food? Because if you were like how I was when I was skinny fat, having low levels of muscle but high levels of fat at the same time, you would probably just hate your physique. You'd be insecure about it, like I was. You'd hate ever having to take your shirt off. You'd hate those fat rolls on your stomach. And there was absolutely nothing more that I wanted to do than transform my physique. And not knowing what to do was so incredibly frustrating. So I'm gonna set out for you in this video what to do if you are skinny fat. So the common advice that is out there is that if you want to build muscle, you need to bulk and eat more. And if you want to lose fat, you need to cut and eat less. And if you're skinny fat, meaning you're someone that wants to lose fat and build muscle at the same time, because you are fat and have no muscle, then you've got two conflicting, contradicting arguments. You've got one side telling you need to eat more. You've got the other side telling you need to eat less to lose fat. So you're just like, what the absolute hell do I do? I have no idea. And it's exactly how I was. And it's so incredibly frustrating because there's just no clear path for you to follow. So what that meant for me was that I have cut and eaten less calories when I shouldn't have. And I've also bulked and eaten way more food than I should have when I realistically should not have been doing that. So I will provide you with the roadmap that took me from my worst physical condition to my best in 1 year. That took my client Alex from skinny fat to ripped in just 3 months. And then my client Jean used to go from pudgy to lean in just 4 months. So the first thing you need to understand is that being skinny fat is on a spectrum. So there's no one size fits all solution, because everyone that is skinny fat is differing levels of skinny fat. You might be a fatter skinny fat, or you might be a skinnier skinny fat. So if you are a fatter skinny fat and look something like this, then you need to cut. You need to eat less food. You need to eat less calories because you have way too much excess fat on your frame. Whereas if you're on the skinnier end of skinny fat, like my client Alex, then you realistically don't need to worry about cutting calories at all. So you can get away with eating at maintenance or just in a tiny calorie surplus. But for 99% of people watching this video, I think you will fall into the former category, which is where you're on the fatter side of being skinny fat. So you will have fat rolls when you sit down. You can see in this photo here that my stomach fat is literally like hanging off the bottom of my shorts. You will have love handles. So whenever you take a photo of yourself in the mirror, you can see that in your lower stomach, it kind of curves out as opposed to having that V taper look. And if you are on the fatter side of skinny fat, chances are you've also probably got a lot of fat in your chest and you have some level of man boobs. So by using those indicators and by using these photos, you need to figure out where you are on the skinny fat spectrum. If you are on the fatter side of being skinny fat, which chances are you are, then you need to cut. You need to stop eating so much food. And if you're on the skinnier side, then you can get away with being at maintenance or in a slight calorie surplus, as I said. By the way, if you are serious about this transformation from skinny fat to muscular and lean, I have full diet guides, workout plans, and I offer one-to-one coaching if you check out the first link in the description below. So as I said, 99% of people I think watching this video will be on the fatter side of skinny fat and will need to cut, i.e. be in a calorie deficit. So being in a calorie deficit just means that you're intaking less calories than you are burning every day. So that means your body is in an energy deficit. And to make up for that deficit in energy, your body has to burn fat for that energy. And that is how you lose fat. So the common advice that is out there is that if you want to lose fat, then you need to be in a calorie deficit. You need to cut and you need to be tracking your calories so that you're ensuring that the amount of calories you're eating is less than the amount of calories you're burning every day. So essentially, what I think that promotes is the if it fits your macros ideology, which is essentially you can eat whatever you want as long as you're in a calorie deficit, as long as the calories you're intaking is less than the calories you burn. So theoretically, you can eat 3 Big Mac meals. It might be 2,500 calories, but if that is less than the amount of calories you burn every day, then all is well and good, because all that matters is calories. Now, I'm going to respectfully disagree with that approach because what it promotes is exactly that. You eat shit food. Because if all you're concerned about is your calorie intake, then that allows you to eat chocolate, chips, biscuits, all of these shitty foods with shit ingredients that are doing so much harm to your body in terms of fat loss and muscle growth. And not to mention all the other health detriments that come with eating that way. So I instead prescribe that you should follow the natural food rule, which is where all you eat is clean, natural, and unprocessed foods. And you don't need to track your calories. And this is the exact method that my clients Alex and Jean used to undergo their respective transformations. They stopped hyperfixating over their calorie intake and tracking all their calories on MyFitnessPal. And instead, every time they ate, they would follow the natural food rule, which is if it is a naturally occurring food, then it can be eaten. But if it's not naturally occurring, then you don't eat it. So it's quite a simple, intuitive thing to follow when it comes to your diet. Steak is from a cow, which is naturally occurring. Sure, yes, okay, all good, we can eat that. An Oreo, you think about it, how is that coming into existence? It's not naturally occurring. It doesn't grow on a tree. It's not an animal that is born. So it's gone through a lot of processing, and therefore we don't eat the Oreo. And it's exactly this way of eating that allowed my clients to transform from skinny fat to lean and muscular. Because in the past, where they've tracked calories, they become hyperfixated on their calorie intake and they prescribe to the if it fits your macros ideology, where you might get into this situation where you've been presented with, for example, this Woolworths Dreamy Choc Chip Cookie, which are 76 cents each, by the way. And I just want you to think, what does a food being 76 cents signal about its food quality? Anyway, that's besides the point. So when you get into this situation where the cookie's in front of you and you're tracking your calories on MyFitnessPal and you've got 1,000 calories left in your calorie budget for the day, and this cookie is 300 calories, what you're thinking in your head is, okay, if I eat this 300 calorie cookie, I can get away with it because I'll still have 700 calories. And so when I have dinner, I'll just make sure that my dinner is 700 calories. So what happens is you eat the cookie and you've all of a sudden just made your life so much more difficult, even though you might end up sticking to that 1,000 calorie budget that you had. And the reason your life has just become so much more difficult because you ate the 300 calorie cookie is this. You've consumed all of these shit ingredients, including seed oils, emulsifiers, flavor enhancers, and all of this bullshit food that is going to make your energy levels lower, that's going to make you more tired, that is disrupting your hormone regulation, meaning you're going to produce lower levels of testosterone when you're eating this way. You're also going to be less satiated. In fact, after eating the cookie, you're going to feel even hungrier because all of those random ingredients that go into making the cookie are specifically designed to make you hungrier so that you come back for more cookies and more and so that you come back for more and more cookies so that Woolworths, the brand that's selling the cookies, makes more and more money. So you're going to be hungrier, you're going to be less satiated, so you're going to eat more food. And we've all been in that scenario where you think in your mind, yep, I'm just gonna have one cookie, 300 calories, that's it, one cookie. It fits within my budget, I swear. And then you eat the one cookie and all of a sudden you've had two, then you've had three, then you've had the whole packet and you've eaten 1,500 calories because you ate 5 cookies. And it feels like you haven't even eaten anything at all because you're still hungry because of all of these random ingredients that go into it. And you might also go into this mindset of once you've eaten the cookie thinking, oh, we'll stuff it. I've already stuffed up on my diet on one cookie. Sure, let's eat the whole packet. And then now, sure, for dinner, let's have a burger, fries, ice cream, frozen yogurt, all of it. So it's not just the fact that it's 300 calories, you think, yeah, sure, okay, I can fit it into my calorie budget. But because mentally you've slipped up a bit, you become even more prone to just saying, stuff it, and blowing out your calories even more. And now let's say you were able to actually discipline yourself to just one cookie and you had that 1000 calorie budget. So now you've had the cookie, you've eaten that 300 calories, and now you've only got 700 calories remaining for dinner. Now, if you go to dinner and limit it to 700 calories now, number one, you're going to feel way less satiated because you've only eaten 700 calories as opposed to the 1000 calories you were going to eat originally for dinner. But number two, you've eaten less of the satiating food that you were going to eat. So let's say, for example, your dinner was going to be beef mince, rice, and vegetables. That is going to be way more satiating than a cookie. And if you ate 1000 calories of beef mince, rice, and vegetables, you're going to feel full after that. But if you're only to eat 700 calories, then you're not going to feel as satisfied. And again, you get into those areas of being like, okay, I just want to eat more food. You're still hungry after dinner. And so what does that mean? You go to the pantry, you go to the fridge, you start looking at Uber Eats. Oh, what can I have on here? HSP, burgers, fries, and you end up failing on your calorie budget anyway. And I also just want to say that the cookie example is an obvious example of a food that is not going to be conducive to your goals of fat loss and muscle growth. But there are also way less obvious types of foods that are ruining your progress. For example, things like microwave meals. If you're someone that tracks calories and subscribes to the if it fits your macros ideology, then there are these things called MyProtein microwave meals. And they have the macros on the label. You look at it, you think, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. 50 grams of protein, only 400 calories. Holy shit, I'm gonna eat all of these. But what you don't realize is that, again, there are all of these garbage ingredients going into microwave My Muscle Protein chef meals. And so although the calories and macros look great, you're again falling into the trap of eating all of these bullshit ingredients that are making you hungrier, that are not keeping you satiated, that are ruining your energy levels, ruining your testosterone levels, therefore making it so much harder for you to build muscle, lose fat, and achieve your goals of the lean and muscular physique. So if you instead just forget about tracking calories and instead focus on the natural food rule, meaning you're just eating clean, unprocessed, natural foods 100% of the time, it eliminates all of that hardship that you go through with tracking calories, eating cookies, eating My Muscle Protein chef meals. And if you're concerned about, oh, well, if I just do that and don't track my calories, then I'm not going to be sure if I'm in a calorie deficit or at calorie maintenance, then what you need to realize is that if you subscribe to the natural food rule of eating clean, unprocessed foods all of the time, then whatever energy balance your body requires, you will end up arriving at naturally. So what I mean by that is, take Gene, my client, for example. We put him on the natural food rule and he wasn't tracking his calories. He wasn't concerned over being, oh, I need to be in a calorie deficit and tracking calories all the time. But what happened was, when he subscribed to just eating natural foods, he automatically started eating in calorie deficits, because now the foods he was eating were way more filling, were also less calories, and all of a sudden the cravings for junk food disappeared. And so when you put those three things together, then naturally you're going to arrive at a calorie deficit, because the foods you're eating are lower in calories and you're also less hungry all of the time. And a similar thing applied for Alex. So he again followed the natural food rule. Now he was actually eating at maintenance because that's just what his body made him do. His hunger levels were to the point where he would eat natural foods, but he would be at calorie maintenance. So his weight actually stayed the same between these two photos. And what happened was, he's clearly lost fat but built muscle at the same time. So it was a body recomposition. And he didn't even think about calorie tracking in the slightest. So what following the natural food rule does is eliminate any obsession you have over calories. Because tracking your calories is actually an extremely burdensome process. Having to get your phone out, scan barcodes, make sure everything you're eating is in line with your calorie budget is just such an arduous, time-consuming, and annoying process to have to go through. And instead, following the natural food rule just eliminates all of that hardship whatsoever. and is also a better strategy to use to go about losing fat and building muscle. Now, the final point I want to make is that absolutely nothing I just said matters if you are not training in the gym. Because I've had countless calls with guys where we will go through their diet. They'll tell me, yep, I'm eating clean, I'm eating chicken, I'm eating rice, I'm eating vegetables, I'm eating fruit. What's the problem? And then we start talking about their training and they say, yeah, I went to the gym once this week. Yeah, I've been to the gym like 3 times over the past month. And I think, well, there's your problem. So again, none of this matters if you're not even training in the gym. Now, again, if you've made it this far in the video, it signals to me that you are quite serious about undergoing this transformation from skinny fat to muscular and lean. And if you want my exact workout plans, my exact strategies to get lean, you can check out the first link in the description below. And I also offer one-to-one coaching. So if you learned anything from this video, please consider subscribing. We're getting to 20K subs soon, and I will see you in the next one.